Greetings and welcome. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, the Core New Core. My patrons, Clayton, Ruby, Stephanie, and Jonathan, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor or student. Three titles today in my broadcast, and the first is about the exercise called the Star on the Reformer. Okay, and you can go to Hermit. I think you can still go to. Thanks to Clayton and Ruby and Stephanie and Jonathan, who are patrons of mine at patreon.com, trying to help me pay for the place that I'm telling you to go to now, hermit.com, lists, reformer, and from there find the exercise, the Star. Probably just in pictures, but if you go there, what I think you'll see is a demonstration of a pattern of movement where the body starts out this way on the reformer, like here's your body and this is your chest and you're sideways on the reformer, and one arm is on the foot bar and the bottom foot is on a headrest, the near one, and the hands a little in front of center, trying to make sure that the body is in the middle of the reformer. You follow me there? So, recently I saw a very controlled demonstration of the peak expression of that without the pattern that I associate to the exercise. So that being, here you are on the reformer, going in and out. Now your hands are here, right? Your feet are here, and you're sideways. My preference is as you inhale, you go out into space, just holding your body in place, arm out long on your body. So you just maintain the pike position. Perpendicular to gravity rather than front. Okay? In the next go out, the arm comes up and down. Actually, it's arm and leg, because what you do is you stay in plane. The next time, moving weight further away from center, arm up and leg up. Okay? And there you are, staying in plane in that exercise. The next time out, the arm comes forward and the leg comes forward in the opposite plane, in the plane of flexion, and you return. And then third is arm forward, leg back, to where the body creates a star, where the ends of the hands and the feet are points on a star, like a starfish. The dismount, and then you come in off of that expression, and the dismount, well, see, you come into the point where you can control a dismount that opens beyond the position of star, so that you're up foot steps back behind you to the floor instead of inside. Why is that? To me, that's because the whole exercise is this evolution of control and occupying space. First, arm and leg together, in and out. Then, arm and leg go up as you go out, dynamically, coming back. And then, on the next out, arm and leg both coming forward and in. And on the next out, arm comes forward, but leg goes back and dismounts into the extension that is a continuation of the progression. That's what I meant to say. We'll see if I can remember that when I go to Facebook. Number 2. Number 2. Is a quote from a person named Jaron Lanier, who's a Microsoft guru that I saw speak on television. And he looked at the future as being, own your data, get paid whenever it's used. Which I thought was reinforcing what my message is to you as how to survive as a Pilates instructor. Whether you're in it or not, and whether it's about Pilates or not, record something on a subject basis. In the hopes that someday, when it's acknowledged that you own your data, you'll have some data to own. So my message out of this quote is, if you don't create any data, you have nothing to own. Because someday, artificial intelligence, like today, right, will help everyone find what they're looking for. Oh, and in line with that, another way of having money come to you is through Western Union. I need a list. Okay, well, so that was my number 2. Create your data so you'll have something to own that you can get paid whenever it's used. That's Jaron Lanier's take on the future of where all of this stuff is headed. Number 3. Is the Michael Miller Pilates Presentation Manual. What do you think of when you hear that? And if you're new to listening and you have no history in what's been said, it seems I'm always under consideration more of the first-time listener than presuming familiarity. So just as an overview of what number 3 is about, is that for the last 1,117 days, I've been broadcasting on most weekdays in that time period. And it has come down to my projection of you as a student of mine becoming a presenter that covers 5 things. To explain just 2 things. And so I'm reluctant to turn my attention anything other than to the passion that still burns bright. And yet coming up with the idea of having a manual that covers those 5 things might be something in addition to the PowerPoint presentation you can get from my course on Udemy. I don't know. I'm asking for your thoughts on it, really, because if there's as much interest as there is in the PowerPoint presentation, it's so those 5 things, three are from Joe, and it's the basis of the MMP point of view of Pilates, which is a point of view that's taken from a theory that there's an ideal within Joe's original work. There is an ideal within Joe's original work. And the point of view taken by MMP on that theory is based off of 3 things out of Joe's book. And if you're a familiar viewer, you're going, oh man, we're going this way around again on the merry-go-round. I'm so familiar with this. See, if you're not familiar with it, it's an introduction to these 3 things. Joe's definition is contrology is complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. That's number 1. Number 2 is just the beginning of the next sentence in the book. Contrology develops the body uniformly. ... More stuff, but that's all you need to get to whole body as a means to what you're after, in terms of the way you engage your body. It's whole body. And then the third thing is the sequence itself. Because in the sequence is revealed grammar, and from that grammar empowers you to know why you're pursuing the actual performance of the original mat, because it is a response to the reality that we're in, just as much now as it was when the orchestrator of the choreography put it together. So based on 3 things, MMP has a definition of, from its view, the MMP view of the ideal that is within Joe's original work based on those 3 things. Because from my experience, it works out better if I introduce the 4th thing before the definition. It's an opportunity to talk about core new tension, which is biomechanically the way the body engages itself to move through space. That's my opinion. My opinion is that that's the fact of the matter, not just vivid imagery. I just admit there's no science developed yet to substantiate the claim. Other than by taking a person into their own experience, and then you come right into the characteristics of observing that make the pursuit of Pilates so precious. Core tension is oppositional rotation between axes. That's the definition that I make of the biomechanics that I'm pointing to. In terms of a defining characteristic of my career and as a professional, as a Pilates instructor, my identification of core tension is something that I've only come through or came to through my pursuit of wanting to understand Pilates. But the biomechanics of core tension are what they are, whether you're interested in Pilates or not. So finally, the fifth thing is, the first thing was Joe's definition of the method. Contrology is complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. Ideal contrology is uniform eccentric loading flowing through progressive patterns of movement. That's the definition that I've come to live with and hold out as the best I can do for explaining the ideal within Joe's original work. So those two things, one biomechanical and one point of view of Pilates, are what I extend out there in hopes of what? Finding value in return. Because, as this guy from Microsoft says, we're headed to the point where you own your data and you get paid when it's used. And that sort of exists on feeble knees right now in 2019. But as it's apparently, in some people's opinion, as that gains strength as a paradigm for payment, generate your own content. So, those 5 things are the basis of explaining CT and MMP. Would a manual that covers that, how to be a presenter, reinforce? Does that make sense? Seems to make sense, but why bother? You can take your own notes. I don't know. Life can't live forever. Read between the lines and see behind the curtain. Add 2 and 2. Evaluate your own perspectives, or evaluate points of view, and then really add 2 and 2. Come to grips with what it means to at least be familiar with a point of view that asserts that you can explain why Pilates is what it is. What it is. Why it is what it is. That there's a target, that you know how to hit it as an instructor, and that in hitting it you're looking for moments as long as and as extended as possible of complete coordination of being, thinking, and observing. Learn those 5 things. Learn how MMP looks through those 5 things. But just to make a presentation, someday when people want to know, you'll be prepared to say, I can do that for $1,000, $10,000, $10, $1, 25 cents, but I won't do it for free. And if you've listened to me enough, you know why that is. So, as a conclusion to this, so Star in the Reformer is it's a progressive pattern of movement that goes from close to center in an ideal plane, and then expands loading in that plane, and then takes loading into a perpendicular plane, and then takes torsion, right, from side back. See, take. Perhaps I don't stress enough how much a point of view of Pilates that takes its credibility straight out of Joe's book and claims its legitimacy and authority based on what's there right in Joe's book. That's very different, I think, from the predominant culture we live in. And it gives you an immediate connection to Pilates that is sensational. Well, that you can feel as an experience. Now, maybe not right away and only brief glimpses, but the more you get into finding the complete coordination of being, thinking, and observing as a state of being in the body, in the moment of the doing, that's my product. That's what I pursue. Everything else is derivative. I feel like there needs a because in there, because in the pursuit of it, my closing quote. So evaluate perspectives. If Pilates has an essence of its own, it's always going to be that way, regardless of what anybody makes of it. And MMP is just one point of view that tries to make something of it that makes sense. And because MMP makes sense, it makes sense tactily and it makes sense intellectually. It can act as both sword and shield within the Pilates culture and beyond. Direct your thinking. Geist.